Hey guys, I've got some things to say today. Um, so first off, I usually just play noob lobbies. They are often the most difficult lobbies to play. You never know what you're gonna get. Um, I'm gonna keep on saying this. I think OS is more reflective of the level of the players that you play with rather than your actual skill, or at least a combination of the two.
Game started.
So if you're only playing noob lobbies, your OS is gonna stay low. I'm not coping here, and I'll show you a little bit why later. But I usually learn on my own. I'll look stuff up. I try to figure things out on my own though. Like it's really important to just play the game and get mechanically good at it. Um, but recently, like I do stream a lot, and I actually have a player who's I keep forgetting what his OS is, but his name is Sixsi, and he gives a lot of really good advice. I'm part of a clan Discord, which is a lot less like filled with random toxic people that the main bar Discord has, and just like weird people who just want to argue, and then I can get super into that, but just like decent people who are not engaging in bad faith constantly. Um, so it's really good to be a part of a community. It's like I guess I'm talking about the social aspect of this game. Like find people that are good for you. Don't waste your time with knuckleheads. Knuckleheads. Okay, so I seem to not have any sound. There we go. I seem to just not have any sound, I guess. There it is. I can kind of hear it. So, here's one of the things that. Okay, this is going to be Glitter's video. And what have I learned this week? I. Like, okay, so the last time I was discovering that A Solar is pretty freaking amazing on most maps, and I've also been like trying to figure out like when is it actually appropriate to build wind, and I'm not convinced that it's appropriate to build wind on glitters anymore. Uh, I was thinking about it. I was looking at the build power. Like a solar collector costs 1,800 metal build power. Sorry, 2,600 build power, and a wind costs 1,600. 52, and then 5,200 for two solar collectors. 16, 30, 48. You can do the math. I think two solar collectors cost about 400 more build power. But it's like, what if it's, especially in the beginning, you're paying like what the most limited resource for your like whatever is for getting tempo would be build power, and it's just there's a lot of things about solar. If you haven't heard this before, solar doesn't require energy to build, so it immediately starts paying out. It's consistent. Um, it's so you're not gonna need to build e-storage and stuff like that. And um, to get the same amount, I was in the comments. I think it was like I think the break even point is about 13 energy per uh, wind turbine to get the same amount of tempo as a solar collector. minus the amount of energy that you have to spend to build the wind turbine. So I think it's really important to start with solar on most maps anyway. But I also just stay on them a lot of the time unless I see it. I'll be like, okay, I'll make a wind if it's at 16 and I notice. And I'm not really paying attention to that. It's just the consistency. It's great. Is another thing. I don't have to, like, I don't know. It keeps things consistent, basically. Yeah. So this is how the build goes. I'm just going to go solar and a solar, and the guy was like, okay, you need like 3 cons expanding. Because I was really excited about this replay. I wanted people to look at it, and I got one guy to look at it. Another guy was like, well, you want me to look at your replay? You don't want to look at your replay. Replay is stupid. It's a noob lobby. It's not gonna be interesting to me. But I really like this replay, and I'm proud of it, and I want to share it. What I'm gonna show you is what I call the Sixsi 6 Starlight push, and how to execute it well. So we're gonna build eventually a lot 6 Starlights and a gigantic blitz push, and then we'll also talk about like how to execute it, what I've learned about it. And the most important thing here is that at some point we're actually being aggressive. I'm still gonna eco pretty hard. I'm gonna make sure that I'm assisting out cons. I'm looking at this and I want it to speed up, but I'm not hitting the right button for it. So get 4 solar up, and then I take the max 2 lanes of max, and then you want to take at least, I think it's like 1 max here. Make sure that your cons are on high priority, which I did not do, so that's going to set me back. The big thing is the com has to take at least 1 max, and then it's going to take a beeline, or it's going to go straight here and then take this max and then build an LLT, hopefully on top of his 3.2 max. And I'm just naturally gonna get there faster because I built solar. Oh, there was a tornado. No, it was 2 days ago, and there was no power in my house, so I drove over to Barnes and Noble and I played this match, in the Barnes and Noble Starbucks cafe, and I just need everybody to know that because I was sitting in public showing off my bar power level. Going in the corner. I also saw some friends walking around. I was like, oh man, I can't play. Everything was going wrong. I like have some new problem with my laptop where if you move the power connector just the right way, it'll shut off. So I tried getting like 2 or 3 matches, shut off the laptop, and I got into another, and then I screwed up because it was, it's a little bit different using a laptop. I do have a nice mechanical keyboard, but it's loud and clacky, and I didn't want to annoy people, so I used the laptop keyboard. It's like there's a lot of new things going on I'm not used to. Beamers are really good, so I'm going to get like a bare minimum amount of sentries here and there. Oftentimes the guy over here will just like leave this giant gap here. Don't leave that gap. And then it's going to be rocket and LLT, and that works against most things that are going to get sent at you. The biggest thing is that you want to get as offensive positioning as you can with beamers ahead of your in front of your mechs. You go. That's another thing. Like just a general thing in this game, you don't want to stay on like one thing for too long. Just progressively increment your way up the tech tree or whatever. Start with the smallest thing, then go the bigger thing, and then I'll go up to a warden or whatever the 400 metal turret is. And then these noob lobbies, I don't think it's hard to really justify a gauntlet in against competent players, but I just know like in these noob lobbies, they're always going to build a gauntlet.
Has self-destructed. Commander has self-destructed.
They're always going to build a gauntlet, and you just want to have it up before them. Especially in this lane, you're always going to be getting like 6v2'd. If you're that, well, just in general, this lane always gets collapsed on, so you really want to pork up. And I'm going to stop building units at some point. And what's going on back here is I get this con turret up like really early, like before 5 minutes. And then I'm making my second con turret. And what's going on here is I've been watching a lot of higher level players. One specifically, and he always has a bunch of metal in the bank, and I don't like that. I feel like a lot of these people, they just don't make enough build power. They don't scale a lot. They just do very specific timings and stuff. But to be a little bit more like even a little bit more deeper than that, more fundamental than they're doing timings, is that they're actually being aggressive sometimes. Me, I was looking over my replays, and I was doing fusion aphis spam, and like I'm relying on turrets a lot, which is good. There's nothing wrong with relying on turrets. Turrets are going to be the most metal efficient thing that you can do, just as long as you're also keeping an eye on your teammates and badgering them to also build their own turrets and stop begging. Like hold people accountable and have a thick skin and stop being annoying. But what I'm doing back here is eventually I'm going to be like, okay, more rocket bots isn't going to do me a lot of good. This time I actually could have been even more aggressive. I just like sitting back, and you want to have some con turrets up here too, to do some reclaiming and repairing. But my goal back here is to have a bunch of con turrets that cover my initial starting mech. So once I get my T2, these are going to get built super fast. It's going to be huge tempo for me. And also, I'm going to be able to build a bunch of solar and then a solar really quick, because I'm going to get a ton of con turrets up instead of fortifying the front. That's not going to get me any value. Or getting me less value than turrets would. So I'll have idle stuff here. Like, it's true, I could have done more with microing at certain points. But we're going to look at the... I'm actually not scaling back here very hard yet, but as soon as I start, I didn't make my... I'm going to stay on T1 converters a lot, and I'll do my normal sort of base block thing, hopefully, is what I will do. But when I'm floating E, I'm going to start converting it. the sooner you start converting, like, okay, it's not that efficient at T1, or it's not that efficient to be doing conversion with A solar. The big thing is that I am converting, and the sooner that I start doing it, it's gonna be paying back faster and faster and faster. And then on top of that, also, um, you got to be on top of having res bots. Two guys versus node, and they didn't kill. You don't actually have to kill your lane. Um, so they were watching the replay, or Sixsi was nice enough to watch the replay, and he's like, "Well, you had like, oh, 6 rocket bots sitting here and doing nothing for so long." And I noticed I had these back here. Yeah, it's true. I could have kept pushing and grabbing all of these mechs. That is 100% true. But I was sitting. Okay, I was at Barnes and Noble, spilling coffee on the floor, and that was the first thing I did was spill my coffee, and the barista was kind enough to just give me another one for free. Moving right along, I get this gauntlet up. Yeah, these noobs will just they really just will not ever let up the pressure. They're not worried about their base or anything. They're just like, I'm gonna the front micro the front, and I'm a sort of person. Microing is the last thing on the list of importance for me. I like to play the long game. I haven't figured out what a good counter to Recluse is.
Commander has self-destructed.
What I like to do in Canyon, if I play Canyon, is I'll keep these mexes as long as I can, but if I can't get established with defenses here, then you just have to back off to here and make a new defensive line. Like what a lot of people like to do is, even on glitters, they just like, okay, I'm gonna make a whole bunch of gauntlets, and then okay, they clean up your front line, but they have no units, so you just back up and build another front line, and then you start over. So I don't know what the best counter T1 for Recluse is. So I was like, pawns will probably work, but I was getting really annoyed. Like, you two guys can't handle Recluse spam. I was like, what the heck? It's gotta be some way. Maybe beamers. What's the range of a beamer? 490 versus 575. So Wardens would be the way. Overwatch. Range 620. Maybe. Scratching a lot. So I tried to help with that, but pawns weren't doing it. I was getting really annoyed. Clever. People like to leave their comm right here or somewhere in, like, behind a peak where radar can't see it. You can get a lot of value out of that. I lost some Starlight to that in a different match. Or maybe it was this match. Another thing is just being willing to switch to air to either bomb or just
Commander
supplement the air for your air player. Because seemingly, when you're the highest OS, your air player always loses air. Which is, you know, it's kind of fine. You want your weakest players on the back line, but you have to make up for that. So once I get, like, back here, okay, we have a lot more going on now. I have built a ton of A solar. I've scaled up with it. I'm almost 10,000 metal produced ahead of everyone else, and the reason for that is I missed a max and I missed another max. But I scaled, or I I scaled. I started scaling on T1 with A Solar, and I was surprised. I will even on A Solar. It's good to have some E storage, especially when you're making Starlights, which are 20,000 energy each. But I'm gonna get up to 6 Starlights, and I'm gonna tell everybody, "Let's go!" And behind it, I'll have a ton of Blitz. And this is really important. When you're gonna do a big push, you have the res bots. They're built already, and they're eating everything, or resing if it's appropriate, but mostly just eating and replacing everything with Blitz. I'm just like, everybody, let's go, let's go, let's go kill. So just eating everything along the way. And also have at least 2 flak trucks because you know that you're going to get bombed. And the resign will come pretty quickly. Yeah, but like what it really comes down to is I won the front really good, and then I won the front well. I scaled, and then I converted it into offense, and got my flak trucks destroyed.
Died.
And here comes the air. And we get the resign rather quickly.
Battle ended.
Now this next one, because that was a noob lobby, this is gonna be like a higher level. This has got some 40 OS players, and this will be case in point on like your OS isn't reflective of your skill level. One thing when you play higher level lobbies is that you get a lot of less noob mistakes, and you just get a lot more like just scratching my head, shaking my head sort of stuff mistakes. I think this is where I started.
Game started.
Oh, I'm over here. Always want your highest level players on front. Not sure why 36 OS is in Canyon. These are the 3 most important positions. So do the solar.
Paused. Game
And I was like,
started.
I was thinking, oh, this is gonna be kind of scary. I'm playing a 40 OS guy, and he's 6 Chev, so you'd think that he'd earned it, but he's opening vehicles. I disagree with that. He's making wind. I disagree with that. Making some rovers, that's good, but look at the tempo. Like, okay, he's at 7. He hasn't taken a single max. I am at 13. I'm on 7 max. My commander is already moving out. And as he's walking up, he's taking every max on the way up. That's going to be super slow too. So by the time he's up here, like, I'm going to have my max, and I'm going to have a turret over his 3.2 max. He did get a little bit of leaks, so I only made about 5 pawns, so I guess I'll make more pawns next time. I'll try to very quickly try to replace all the mechs that I lost.
Self-destructed.
Kanpuk are 43 OS who thinks it's important to take the least amount of mechs as the highest OS player. Inexplicably, I vehemently disagree with that. But he's gonna be doing lots of micro up here. He asked for this con.
Has self-destructed.
Basically, all you need to do as a front player is get established with some turrets. I was checking and I was like checking to see what he actually had, and then I lost like 10 pawns. So I'll try not to do that again.
Commander died.
I guess it's interesting to have the artillery. He's going Janus. He's like, just keeps pinging. He's really annoying. But while I'm doing all this stuff on the front, the most important thing is that I'm not forgetting to continue to scale. And if I'm getting behind on metal, I want to get a lot of con turrets really quickly, just so that I can be spending the metal as soon as I get it, and just get a snowball going really quickly. And this guy's spamming Janus, but like I'm looking at this. Okay, I lost some turrets. I needed con turrets up earlier, and this guy is making. I guess he's making Janus, which one-shot LLT, but get completely shut down by beamers, I guess. I think these Wolverines could have been something else, definitely. We are doing pretty good because there's just a whole player not participating. We got to eat a comm here at some point, I think. This guy lost his comm and Fethus his comm. This rec field is going to be building up. And he gets... I'm just going to build more construction turrets and get this way when he gets booted out, because he's making vehicles on a trench warfare map. Beamers give you a very, very good value. He keeps taking out this 3.2 max, so I'll just keep replacing it, and eventually, like, I'm just gonna attrition him because he's trying to be aggressive, and I have turrets, so that's not really the play. I think it was like, usually I want to stop building rocket bots by now. I hate Dragon's Claw. They're really annoying to destroy because they don't get targeted. So I think it'd be like something I could do better is, like, I just don't know how much health that thing has. I didn't really want to commit to a gauntlet this time because no reason really other than superstition. I did end up poking this guy a little bit. Like, it's really scary. You can get comm bombed or something if you build a gauntlet, and then you're just like, well, crap. And so the best thing is to have the gauntlet further back and your turret spaced out much more, if you can.
Commander has fallen.
Yeah, it's just like, it's kind of early. I'm not too keen on like just like forcing a breakthrough, because you're just gonna get collapsed on. You're gonna be fighting 6 people, especially on these smaller maps. Just do a little damage and eat. Have beamers. This guy just keeps building. You think this is this is the crutch that these players rely on, is just building a bunch of blitz and trying to find a way to break through. Now, obviously, that's really, really dumb to just do that arbitrarily, because there's an air player who has shurikens, and people should be smart enough to build a few turrets in their base. This guy wasn't paying attention. And this guy's gonna build an Aphis factor, or like he's gonna build all of his eco like right here. Why? When you can build it this far back. Do not give your opponent more opportunity to force you to build deflectors and other dumb stuff like like do you want to get your Aphis EMP'd? Do you want to get bombed? All that sort of stuff. Anyway, build a few turrets in your base when needed. Pay attention. I'm just chilling, and then you see how quickly I'm getting my stuff upgraded. I think this time I wanted to build a second T2, but I never did. But again, 27 OS. I have 10,000 metal produced higher than anyone else. Is OS accurate? I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm dumb, and up until this point, I just SimCity until I die a lot of the time. Because I'm so scared of dying 40 minutes from now from getting outscaled. I can play a lot of noob lobbies and just stuff happens, you know. Out of an abundance of caution. So this is what's happening. I'm doing this 6 Starlight push again. There's this giant Banisher ball. What does Compaq think he needs to do against a Banisher ball? I'm just gonna call it Banisher ball right now. What is this? This was just like, why would anyone ever do this? Okay, Banishers are like Starlights or sharpshooters. They directly counter T3 units. I'm just gonna arbitrarily jump straight to T3 with no spam. And unfortunately it worked out for him. Slowly. Very slowly. This is where I got my Starlights messed up, but this I'm gonna have blitz, spam, and I'm gonna eat everything along the way. This comm gets a few Starlights.
Commander has fallen.
Nobody is helping me. This Arbiters and Sheldons are great defensive units in Canyon. Like, after you've accepted that you've lost. This position is like so easily defendable. Like, you don't even really need units. Just build some defenses and scale. And have a ton of BP so that you can help when needed. But these are basically a bunch of units that accomplish nothing. This fat boy's just going to be stuck up here. Whoop-de-doo. So that push didn't do a whole lot. We did clear up the front. And back here, I'm just continuing to scale, and I wanted another 2-2 con, so I also wanted air con, so I went for the air. But air is energy expensive and BP expensive. But now that I have this air factory, I was thinking, like, I just don't make enough air anymore. So I decided I would make some air. And this was kind of iffy. Like, what am I gonna do about this? He made a Vanguard. I'm not sure why. We're not fighting static defense right now. We're fighting a well-balanced army of spam and artillery, and I don't know. I just don't know. The Razorbacks are gonna come in to get directly countered by the Banishers. The Vanguard is doing a great job at missing its shots against ticks. And this was, for me, it was like, I guess I chose the right time to quit while I was ahead, because everyone seemed to be teching up at the same time. So me continuing to push despite telling them that what I was doing, they did not help at all. I'm scaling up back here, and I think this was really helpful that I made this air, because dark green is gonna go for a bombing run, and our air player, I'm not sure, he needed my help. Definitely may have either gotten outscaled. Let's look at this. 85 to 63, so he did get outscaled, which is kind of weird because I only saw one Aphis over there. $85 into 63. I'm not really too sure. I guess he just he has an Aphis and 2 fusions and no conversion. Build AA, please. He greeted. Bro, you didn't build any conversion. Hate to see it. So, yeah, whenever these rec fields come up, like, the first thing you want to do is be eating this, or trying to eat this if you can without overcommitting. And I like to have my res bots on quota if I can. Vanguard are maybe eventually going to target something that they're good for, which is taking out static defense. Blue's making Starlight, the 86 income to 135. I'm getting to the point where I've almost double his income too. Because we've denied so many mechs and I've scaled, and I guess I've also gotten to, I think I got to convert a bunch of people's E that just are unwilling to build conversion for themselves. So I guess always keep an eye on that energy bar, because people will just forget to scale or forget to make conversion. So this guy gets T3 piled on from him from the tech and both canyons. So I guess even when you build units that are being directly countered by the units that the guy still has. If you just build more units and the guy refuses to build static defense, you can break through. I'm not sure that's a lesson we need to learn here, but that is a truth. So, congratulations on Canyon for not dying.
Commander died.
And they what happened? We did make units, so that's really good. I think we got there in kind of a weird way. But I guess we got the basics down. That at some point we do have to attack. And it turned into a pretty clean win, I guess. I think we missed it earlier, but Dark Green did go for a bombing run, and this was one of the things that was important to me that I learned. Is that you gotta build air sometimes, or makes a whole lot more AA than you think you need, and build it earlier than you think you need. If the case is that you find yourself always getting bombed. Well, another thing that I've seen is, I think it was Randy, or I can't remember who I was playing. I don't even think. Okay, definitely just in general, I've seen 50, 60 OS players building air, even if they're not the air player, if it's small teams. They're just gonna build air. Someone's gotta do it. And keeping your team from getting bombed is actually like a super high value play. Now, one thing that happened here is that, okay, I wasn't paying too close attention to this, but Blue started making a ton of Starlights and Vanguard to break through my Pulsars. But in reality, what was happening was both of these teams had no. Well, he had fixed defense, right? But at this point, if you're thinking about like where do you want to build your Pulsars, it's gonna be like this area here. I know this side is Glitters is kind of messed up where it has these peaks in weird places. And this thing isn't that great for defense if you want to build pulsars because it blocks this entire area. Whereas on this side, it's a little bit, this peak is in the way, this peak is in the way. So you have a little bit less area to scale, which is annoying. This anti-cannon spot's annoying because it's got this. You have to, and it makes getting bombed that much easier unless you build some anti-air on this cliff. You can't really, it's not like immediately obvious, but it's not entirely symmetrical. But what I want to mostly say here is that if you're going to build fixed defenses, you need to build it in a centralized position because these three guys just got to walk around your defenses. And the siege units aren't appropriate here because this is a situation where you should be defending. I mean, you've already gotten like super outscaled and all that, so it doesn't really matter. But I I've learned that I had like a 2 or 3 hour, not 2 or 3, like an hour and a half game, in as anti canyon, and I got bombed and I had to rebuild. And I ended up having like 2 APHIS stacks here and there, and I still got outscaled because everybody on this side of the map was doing exactly what I falling for the same exact thing that I was doing to the other team. They were sending their Titans, and I had like 10 pulsars. Except also I was getting hit by catalyst for like 30-40 minutes, while everybody on this side of the map was feeding into pulsars on in this area. It was really annoying. But basically, the takeaway there is you want to have your pulsars in a centralized position where they can't get around. You want your defenses, including pit bulls, rattlesnakes, leave the least amount of gaps as you can.
Commander died. Commander died. Commander died.
I think that's about it for this one. I was really happy about this. I've been ducking high OS lobbies for a long time, but I would say every once in a while just try and see if you're ready to start gaining OS. Because I play nothing but noob lobbies, and it keeps my OS low.
Commander has fallen.
And people who play high OS lobbies, it keeps their OS high. Just refusing to resign. Overall, yes, most of the matches I played yesterday were very disappointing. But I think it's time for me to start playing tougher lobbies. I think that's about it. Peace.